What is up, guys? Private Eye Rush here. Welcome to another episode of the Private Eye Rush Show. I'm your host, owner, operator, full-service private investigation firm, private investigation and consulting firm. Links will be in the description below. Join the Discord if you need. There's my contact page. Follow me on X as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get straight into this. This is going to be a reaction video. Reaction videos are different from investigative reports. They're different from case files. Let me know if you guys want to see more investigative reports. I've got some ideas to expand on one. I think I've only put one on this channel that was about the company Make a Mom. There are other companies that make similar products. I'll do more of those if you guys want. You got to let me know in the description below. I've also got some case files coming up. I've had to record some of them just because I don't like the way some of these videos turned out. And so I'm not a perfectionist. However, if I look back over it and I see that it looks weak or lame, I'm going to delete it and start over. I apologize. That's just part of my issue. Again, I'm not as OCD as I used to be. It used to be a lot worse. But it's getting better. So fair use. Let's go ahead and get into this. It's a reaction video. This is about the slaying of a comedian that was associated with the other comedian, Katt Williams, and apparently the gentleman was deleted by Katt Williams' bodyguard. And so let's get more. I heard about this back during the summer. I did not react to the news just because the details were kind of the details were very, very sketchy, and so I just didn't know what was going on. My dog's coming over here to say hi. All right, how you doing, buddy? All right, go lay down. All right, so. So let's see what they have to say, and fair use.
13 News, the most watched news in the Mid-South.
This morning, Fox 13 has exclusive video showing the moments before a deadly shooting in South Haven. The shooter and the victim were on tour with comedian Katt Williams. Security guard Katt Williams is charged with the August murder of comedian Reggie Carroll.
And this morning, Katt Williams is telling his side of the story exclusively to Fox 13's Jeremy Pierre. And Jeremy joins us live this morning in South Haven.
Moments before we sat down one-on-one for this interview, Katt Williams told me he and his lawyers believe it was time to get his side of the story out.
There's witnesses out here though, bro. I stay right here. I just called Katt. It's witnesses right here, bro. It's witnesses outside, bro.
This is video given to me by Katt Williams. He's the man charged with shooting and killing comedian Reggie Carroll in South Haven in August. Now check this out.
Looks like he pulled out a pew out of his waistband back a little bit ago. So let's keep going.
In the video, you see and hear Carroll making several threats and even brandishing a gun.
So if someone is showing signs that they are irresponsible with a firearm, if they're constantly making threats with a firearm, we have to intervene early, or that will gradually grow with a snowball effect and grow into a bigger problem.
Williams says this is one of several videos he recorded leading up to the August 20th deadly shooting at his home. Williams says moments before the deadly shooting, Carroll threatened him at gunpoint.
So this time when he pointed the gun at me, he was blocking the front door. So when I grabbed the weapon that was close by and used it for self-defense and called the police immediately, I was honestly in fear for my life.
District Attorney Matthew Barton told Fox 13 Carroll was killed with a shotgun. Williams says he worked as on-call security 24 hours a day for comedian Katt Williams. He lived in this home on Burton Lane in South Haven, leased to a company owned by Katt Williams. Katt Williams says Carroll moved into the home while on break from Katt Williams' comedy tour.
Okay, and that's not unusual for someone who's on tour with either musically or a comedian. What they'll do is they'll provide housing. So apparently this home was either leased to or was owned by or is owned by Katt Williams, and so his employees or, and a lot of times the people on tour will work for the comedian. So they're getting paid a certain amount. Maybe they're the opening act, maybe they're whatever it is. Obviously, Katt Williams is going to be the headliner because he's the star as far as that goes. And so that's not unusual. What is unusual is to be in this kind of contention with a roommate. And the story just, it smells It smells a little bit like it. Well, you know what? Before I say anything, let's hear what the district attorney has to say. I'm not gonna spill the beans just yet. Let's keep going.
So from previous experiences, I've already been watching this guy build his confidence up. I've already reported him on several occasions that he's pointing a gun at me. And since he's not being...
Okay, several occasions, someone's pointing a gun. Look, I've had guns pointed at me, unfortunately. I've had pew-pews launched at me more times than I can even count. However, here's my thing. I've never been in a place where I resided where someone has pointed a pew-pew at me on multiple occasions, or even once for that matter. You got one time to do that, and either you got to go, I got to go, something's got to change about that. But how can you live like that? I don't know. I guess free housing is, I guess you just got to deal with. But this story is kind of doesn't make a lot of sense so far. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But right now,
and punished, there was nothing to deter him from constantly doing that.
Williams says he began recording Carroll's interactions, which Williams describes as violent.
I was getting more in fear for my life with each sign because, really think about it, Jeremy.
Williams is currently out on bond and wearing an ankle monitor. Williams' case has not yet been presented to a grand jury. He contends his actions were self-defense.
Yeah, and Trinell Williams and his lawyers say they are waiting to hear what's next for this case, because again, it has yet to go to a grand jury.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give my my unsolicited opinion. This sounds a little bit like, okay, were there multiple police reports leading up to this? Okay, so a lot of you guys know I've worked on a ton of homicide cases. And so from the civil side, sometimes from the criminal defense side, but a lot of them from the civil side, all right? So was there a history of the police being called about this individual freaking out and behaving in an erratic or violent fashion? Now, he's got videotaped stuff on a tripod and everything. He's got videotaped evidence of the individual threatening him. But, were the police ever called? Documenting it with video is good, but if you need to document someone's behavior, the best way to document that behavior is with a police report. Call the police, either present them with what happened, let them witness it themselves, and have that kind of documentation. But, it'd be interesting to find out what happens next. To me, the reason I don't like the way it sounds, just from the way he was describing it, it sounds like there was a little bit of maybe some premeditation. All right. So he had his plan of defense, premeditated. Why record the guy? And then, he has a shotgun pew-pew nearby. Doesn't make a lot of sense. That's probably why he's being charged. If they looked at it and thought it was a clear cut of self-defense, that might help him. I don't know why his attorney would advise him to make this statement to the news. It doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. And I think you can tell by the news guy's reaction and look on his face. He's like, this doesn't pass the smell test. Again, I've worked on a ton of homicide cases. This does not pass the smell test. This looks like someone who was waiting for someone to freak out. And who knows what happened before then. Did he antagonize this guy? Don't know. I know when I first heard about this, there's a gentleman who does a podcast with two other individuals. Don't know all their names. I know his name is Corey Holcomb. I believe he's a comedian. Very funny guy, entertaining guy. But he reacted to it angrily, and he was angry at Katt Williams and the security guy because apparently the gentleman who was deleted was a good friend of his. Shout out to his family. Condolences. Hopefully, this gentleman has his day in court. I think that's probably why they charged him. Just from what he described, it sounds like a lot of premeditation. So here's the whole thing with the premeditation part. Okay, and I've had situations like this before. some of you know I grew up in the Bronx, High Bridge, the South Bronx, a few other places in the Bronx. But yeah, I grew up in the Bronx during the crack era. And so it was a very, very violent time and a very, very, my neighborhood went from bad to Lebanon, literally almost overnight. And so things got pretty bad. So I had more than one occasion where I get into countless fistfights. I wasn't a bad guy, I wasn't a dope boy, but I wasn't that dude that was going to run from you if you ran up on me, and you wanted to throw hands. We were going to throw hands, all right. And so I've had more than one occasion where a guy has said to me, "Okay, you know what? We're going to meet up later, and I'm going to bring my brother, and we're going to bring my pew-pew, and we're going to take you out." Now, when that's happened before with other people, I know that guys that have shown up and like, okay, yeah, you're not going to scare me. Nah, I'm not going to take that approach. The only times I've had to throw hands is when I had to throw hands. I'd rather just walk away or try to talk my way out of it. Sometimes you can. Be in the Bronx, there are guys who, whether you want to fight or not, they will just beat you to death. So you had to learn how to fight. And so I learned how to fight in boxing and martial arts and all the rest of that stuff. And I wasn't a punk. However, if you tell me that this is the date and time of my demise, then I'm not going to be there. Why? I'd like to live another day. And so, this whole thing, the way he described it, and again, I find it unbelievable that his attorney would let him say, make this statement. I can't believe an attorney would let him make this statement. Again, I've worked for a bunch of attorneys, criminal defense, civil defense, corporate attorneys, kind of my bread and butter over the years. But I don't understand. And again, usually if you're making a statement, your attorney's there while you're making a statement, not just you and the news guy, the news reporter. Shout out to the news reporter. This just doesn't smell right. Anyway, you know what? I could be completely wrong. I don't know everything. Certainly don't know everything about this particular incident, but let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this smells a little bit fishy? I think it's a little bit fishy, but anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit like, subscribe, share. It doesn't cost you anything. Does a lot. Let's keep trying to grow the community to 1,500. We're at 13 something right now. Let's get to 1,500. Once we get to 2,000, I got a special treat for you guys. Once we get to 2,000, a special story, exclusive, right here on YouTube that no one else knows. But I will share it with you guys once we get to 2,000 subscribers. Anyway, it's your boy Private Eye Russ. I will talk to you guys in the next one. I'm out.